morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to check in on Surging Sparks, because the prices for Surging Sparks are going a little bit wild, and this is very interesting to me. Some of these are but most of these, to be fair, are exactly what we would have thought, but it is not going straight to chalk. So we're actually going to go the other way around today. We're going to start on the most expensive card in the set and work our way down. Let's start off with the special illustration rare Pikachu. Now, I've been talking about this a lot on this channel, and I've told you pretty clearly, this is too expensive. This card is too expensive, it jumped up way too fast, way too quickly, and in previous videos I've been comparing it to cards like the 151 Charizard, which is one of the really big cards from the Scarlet and Violet block, and one that should be one of the big cards. It's a special illustration rare Charizard. Or the Paldean Fates Charizard, which is more playable but less expensive. I think people just really like the art on the 151 Charizard or something. And, even things like your Moonbreon from Evolving Skies, the biggest card from Sword and Shield. And looking at all of those cards, I was just kind of like, it shouldn't be this expensive. It is being pushed up way too high, way too fast. Well, the good news is it is starting to come down. You can see from the graph on TCG Player here that we peaked at about $600. We're now down to like $425. It's still way too high. Now, when I say way too high, I don't mean it is definitely going to come down. I mean any sensible prediction based on similar cards over the past few years would put it nowhere near this high. It doesn't mean that it's definitely coming down, but it does mean that it's higher than any reasonable person would have expected, given the data that we've got from other cards recently. The Moonbreon took so long to get up to this level. The Charizard's nowhere near this level. This shouldn't be at this level. The good news is it is dropping. The bad news is it is nowhere near as low as it should be. But yeah, that's what I can tell you right now. Still too expensive. It still should come down. But of course, whether it comes down or not depends on whether people stop buying and selling it for silly high prices, and that's not something we can necessarily predict. In at number 2 is Latias. Latias is going the other way. Latias has been as low as like a $180 card, but it's now trending at about a $235 card. It's actually now a little bit higher than the pre-sale prices. And there's a few factors going on here. Now, part of it is the fact that this is probably the best EX in the set. Probably the best card in the set, honestly. Just gives free retreat to all of your basic Pokemon. It's ridiculous. It's a phenomenal card. It's seeing a huge amount of play. Now, for me personally, hopefully you watched the Guinness World Record title slot with Joe and I, where I told my story about why Latias is an important Pokemon to me. And also, it's Okacheke, my favourite artist. So, this for me is the number one card in the set. If somebody came to me and was like, Wassy, you can have any card you want in the set, but you can only ever have this card and no others, I would choose Latias over the Pikachu in a heartbeat. Favourite artist, special Pokemon to me, etc. Plus, it makes a lovely pair, literally one piece of art cut in half, with the Latios, which we didn't pull. 5 booster boxes, 10 elite trainer boxes, 0 illustration rare Latios. Made me very sad. But we did get 2 of the Latias, 1 for me, 1 for Joe. And I did, as I said on the stream I would, I did literally just give the spare one to Joe, man of my word and all that. Joe's a lovely dude. But the point is, this is a very playable card. The fact that it makes a pair with Latios, that always pushes cards up. Paired cards always get pushed up because people just love them. And this kind of helps to explain it. It's still way higher than it should be. Like, the idea that this Latias is up there with the 151 Charizard is a bit silly. It's way higher than it should be, but you can see why it's being pushed up. There's also a Pikachu element here of the Pikachu is so expensive that it then makes Surging Sparks a more sought-after set, which pushes the price of Surging Sparks generally up, which pushes the price of all the singles up. This Latias is getting silly. I am so glad I pulled this so that I don't have to worry about it. Now, the number 3 card in the set is a Pikachu, and it's also jumping up, kind of. You see, what we saw, this is gold Pikachu, obviously, and it jumped up to 125 pretty quickly, and it's kind of fallen down now, and it's sitting at about just shy of 110. But the thing is, it's jumped up, and then it's kind of come down a little bit, but not very much, and it's stabilizing / rising. And this is another thing of just, it's a big card in the set. When you have one truly massive card in the set, which here is Pikachu, it will drag the other really, and only really the super high-end cards, but it will pull the super high-end cards up with it. And that is exactly what is happening here. The Latias, the gold Pikachu, these are the big high-end cards, and they are being dragged up by the Pikachu factor. This is also Pikachu, and it's gold, and it's actually rarer. You know, the gold cards are rarer than the special illustration rares. We only pulled 2 gold cards on the entire stream the other day. Again, our sample size was incredibly small. Do not take that as an immutable fact. But the point is, we pulled a bunch of special illustration rares, at least 6, maybe more, and only 2 of the gold cards. And that does match with the data we've seen from elsewhere. So it's a Pikachu, it's gold, it's got a low pull rate, there we go. And the last card that is really jumping up here, the last one that's really made a big difference of the big ones, is your Milotic. This is the 4th biggest card in the set, and it's jumped up from like 78 on release to 82 now. And this is my usual warning about looking at the y-axis. Because it looks like this card has taken a really big jump in value. The reality is the y-axis here goes from $77.50 to $81.50. There is $4 represented on the whole of that y-axis. That's why you have to look at the axes here. Look at the numbers, see what's going on. But I'm about to get to the point in the video where I show you all the other cards just crashing. So the fact that this has gone up, and it's only gone up by like $4. But the fact that it has gone up at all is actually incredibly relevant because the other cards are crashing. Now here, remember, there is a pair thing going on. We do have the Feebas, which doesn't have quite connecting artwork, but they are thematically basically the same and all of that. It's wonderful. And it is a very playable card because you prevent all damage from and effects of attacks from your opponent's Terra Pokemon. Sees play in Japan along with some blocking decks. So it's a very cool card, and it's got beautiful artwork, and it's playable. It is going up, but it's not going up like Gold Pikachu and Latias. It's going up a little bit. And then we basically get to the it's crashing portion of the video. The wonderful, phenomenal, gorgeous Akira Igawa Hydreigon. This is the other card in the set, along with a Latias that I really, really desperately want. Did not pull one on the Giant stream the other day. Made me very sad. Might have to go and pick this one up because, oh my word, I love this card. It's just been dropping precipitously. It's gone from like 120 down to 70. And honestly, I would expect it to keep falling for a little while yet. It is playable. It is a deck in and of itself. People are trying to make it work. It has lovely artwork. But there's nothing here which would put it up with like a Latias or a Pikachu. Cool card, but nothing there that's hugely special. Latias Appeal, Special Illustration Rare, has dropped from like 160 as a pre-sale down to about 60 now. It's still a cool card. It's still Lizia. It's still... yeah, it's not that playable, honestly. Gusting only on basics is annoying. But it's still Lizia, who's a very popular character, along with Altaria. So it's still a very cool card. It's still going to attract some kind of value. It's still a card that people are going to be loving pulling out of their packs. But it is dropping pretty rapidly here. Alolan Executor, same kind of thing. Now, it's only actually dropped from like 70 down to 50. It's not quite the huge drop we've seen from cards like Lizia or Hydreigon, but still very much on the down, as it should be. Cards are always priced way too high as a pre-sale, and then they are just going to drop as time goes by. It is important to note, like I've said, that the Pikachu factor is going to keep a lot of these prices higher than they should be. Like, the average price for a special illustration rare in Surging Sparks is a lot higher than we see from other sets. And that's because of, oh, I could pull Pikachu. But we do see them dropping down. Jasmine's Gaze, another card. I would take this over Latias in a heartbeat. Adore the artwork here. Makes me want to go and sit in a little cafe, frankly, and get some pastries. And that would make me happy. But it's dropped down from like a $90 card as pre-sale down to $35. Drop in very nicely. This is another one I may actually go and pick up. This one is bootyful. Latios is the only one of the illustration rares which made it into the top 10 list, currently sitting in at number 9. And like I say, the fact this makes a pair with Latias is really what's doing it. The card as a whole isn't playable, it's terrible, but that's not the point. The point here is that we've got the phenomenal Latias, which I talked about earlier as being this big card that everybody loves, etc. And this makes a pair with it. And if you've got the Latias, you're going to want the Latios. Now, I very much want the Latios because, again, favourite artist. Good news is it's dropped down from like 52 down to 35. Still expensive for an illustration rare, but this one does at least make sense. And then the number 10 card in the set. Propping up the end of this list is your full art Pikachu. Obviously, all 3 of the Pikachu were going to be on there. What's interesting here is that this did the crashing thing. It went from like a $35 card down to like a $20 card, and is now back up to like $25. Make no mistake about it, it's still not an expensive card. This one's coming down quite nicely. There's a decent gap here between this and the Latios in number 9, but it is starting to creep up again. That is the Pikachu factor at work, and I thought that was worth noting. So what we see here is Pikachu crashing. It's down like $150, but still way more expensive than it should be. We've got Latias, Gold Pikachu, and to a lesser extent Milotic that are actually going up in price right now. But then the rest of the cards are all crashing. Hydreigon, Lizia, Alolan Executor. These are all just absolutely crashing like we would expect. We've got one card which is falling fast but still way too expensive. We've got a few cards that are going up in price. And then we've got the usual crashing elsewhere, and that basically all adds up to a weird set that is not necessarily behaving as we would expect it to. But I've told you about all of this now, so now it's over to you guys. Which cards have you pulled from Surging Sparks? Which cards from Surging Sparks are you super duper hyped about? Which cards are you hoping to pull or pick up as singles in the future? Let me know in the comment section, would ya? Goodness, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But, and get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Uncle Pokepeter, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.